And we are back on the Rodriguez Show, and we have our only guest for this episode, returning after more than 2 years. Faimkills, how's it going, man?
What's good, sir? How you doing? I'm good.
Yeah, he's on the FaceTime, of course, because quarantine. At Faimkills on Instagram, and so the last time we talked, the last time I saw you was at the 2-year anniversary show. Was it 3-year anniversary show at GCS? Now we were about to have our 5-year, and that had to be postponed. But how was that, man? Do you remember that 2 years ago?
Yeah, GCS. I do remember that. It was lit, man. That's like I don't have like a huge relationship with like Rain Raps, but I like since that was the first time I saw him perform and met him, and like since then like we've crossed paths a few times, and like so it's cool. Like I met some new artists, some new dope artists there, and like the energy was just super cool. Y'all have a lot of support, and that was like 2 years ago. So I only mention that it's building up.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah, and that's the thing is, that was 2 years ago. We were gonna do our we couldn't do it last year because I got married. And speaking of marriage, you got engaged since the last time. So congrats on that. How did that go?
It was beautiful, man. It's funny because we went out. Our dating anniversary is April. It's Earth Day. It's on Earth Day, right? So last year we went out to San Diego, and she thought I was gonna propose there, but I wanted it to be on the actual day, and the actual day wasn't until like the middle of the following week. So like we were enjoying ourselves, but then like we're on the drive home, and she's kind of quiet, and what's wrong? And she's like, nothing. And so then the couple days pass. I set it up. I do it at this park here. We live in Redlands, California. So I did it at this park called Caroline Park. And like my homie was filming it like from the bushes. He was on some like camouflage stuff. And then, like when we went to dinner to celebrate, she was like, I thought you were going to do it when we were on our little mini vacation. Yeah. And I was kind of upset that you didn't. And I didn't that you were gonna propose, and I was like, no, I just wanted it to be on the actual day. Yeah. So it was cool, man. It was a lovely, unforgettable day. Yeah. I haven't had some joy in one day, Yeah.
Well, congrats, man, and I'm happy for you guys. And it's exciting. But with the quarantine stuff, how's like planning coming along?
Dude, it's honestly it's starting to get more stressful just because we don't know what's going to happen. We are scheduled to get married this Halloween. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's over here popping in the office right now. Yeah, we're supposed to get married this Halloween. Yeah. And so we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, if we're going to be able to have our physical. I saw your photos was in the desert. Did you do it in Joshua Tree?
Yeah, I did it in Joshua Tree. Yeah,
that's where we're having it as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's beautiful.
You did it in summertime?
April 18th, 2019. So yeah.
What was the weather like?
It was perfect. It was like 70s that day. It was just.
That's lovely.
Yeah, we got really lucky that day. That's awesome, guys. So how is that right now? Is that still like on the table?
I mean, yeah, we've been talking to our coordinator. We've been talking to like all of the like the place we're getting married. We've just been like corresponding, like just let us know when you need to pull the plug or like push it a year or something. But so far, everyone's just said, keep planning as if it's gonna happen. Like, don't let this take the joy out of the planning. Yeah. Until you know for sure that you just can't do it right then. And then the thing that's kind of sucks too, like we would be okay with it if we had to cancel like the big thing. If we could go to the courthouse. Yeah. We can't even do that right now.
That's true because it's closed. Oh man.
Yeah. So it's like, we really want it to happen. We're just hoping and praying and holding our breath and everything. Yeah. But we're like I said, we're still like she's doing invitations right now. We've been like slowly buying things for the reception and everything. Yeah. So that part's been fun, even though it's stressful.
It is, yeah. I had like it was a whole mental breakdown last year because there's just so much. towards the end of it, you're just like, oh, there's just so many things I have to take care of. But I mean, we got through it. I survived. You guys will do it. It'll be great. And I wish you luck. And I really hope that, October, we're good to go on that. You guys can have it. Obviously, you're here because you have a new album out today. You pronounce it IKOV?
IKOV, yep.
IKOV. IKOV as in turning the IK to an OV between the LE.
Oh! You got it off.
I got it off the album. We recorded this earlier, obviously, but you were able to send me, and I listened to it, and it was awesome. So before we talk about that, there was one more thing I wanted to talk about, which was the spoken word project that was you dropped last year, right? Remyth the postmodernist ritual. How did that come about?
So that I actually have an update on that, but that is a selection of my poetry thesis that I wrote in grad school at Chapman U. And so I wrote that in between 2012-13 and 2014. And then I defended it to get my degree. I had to defend it in front of like a little committee of I think there were 3 professors. And I just felt like I invested so much time and energy and literal tears and a lot of emotion into those. And it was just a significant moment in my life, just to be a first generation college student that's graduating and getting more degrees. I didn't want to just be done with that and say okay, I got my degree from it. The whole point of that thesis in that program is to produce a product of publishable material. So getting the degree built my confidence. Okay, I probably could get these published. So I sat on it for a couple years, and then in 2016 I decided you know what, I'm not sure what's going to happen with it as far as publishing, so I'm gonna go ahead and record these in a poetry album. Then I recorded it in 2016, and then I sat on it for
a couple years.
3 more years, and I was like, I'm just gonna put this out. But last May, I submitted the poems. Well, the album that you heard, I submitted the actual written poems to Atlantia Institute. They were doing a first collection competition, and on New Year's Eve, just a couple months back, they called me up and they were like, "Congratulations, you won." I was like,
"What?"
No. Now it's getting published as an actual book.
That's dope.
Yeah, man. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm working on new poetry collection. So where that goes, but it just everything's coming together in terms of keeping the music, the poetry, and the educator identities in one thing, in one ball of me.
Yeah, and it's all you, and it feels authentic to who you are. So when I heard it was definitely different than the music, but it fell in line with Faimkills, the concept of it. So that was great.
Right. Thank you.
So and so now IKOV, the project, it's out now. Tell us about the process of it. How long did it take?
Let's see. So I was thinking about it just the other day, and I hadn't really put out a new project since 2016. Because I guess the spoken word album is new, but it was produced many years ago. So in my head it's kind of you know what I mean.
It was a Manic Pixie Girl. That was a old one that you re-released as well.
So the EP version came out in 2016. Then I re-released it with a deluxe edition in 18.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not in that either. So 16 is technically the last time I put out a new body of work.
Yeah.
And IKOV, I started working on IKOV, I think 2018. I started getting the beats 2016, 2017. And I was kind of sitting on them. And then 2018. So this album, I don't know if I'm stepping on questions that you
it's okay. No, go ahead.
This album is really especially bouncing off of Manic Pixie Dreams. This album is about looking at love, self-love, and romantic love with a fresh pair of eyes. Because I've spent a lot of time wallowing in making sad boy emo raps.
Yeah.
So I wrote this album as I was in a relationship. This relationship that is the relationship. Like I'm only doing this one time. I'm only getting married one time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I got to, like, even the sad songs on this, I got to take on new perceptions of like other people. Like people saw me when I was down and out romantically and very sad.
Yeah.
And they were in beautiful relationships, and I looked to those, and I wanted that again so badly. And now I have it, and it's like I can't believe that I'm here.
Yeah.
And then, you know, sometimes your friends, like the roles reverse in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like one song on there in particular, Maybe I Was Wrong.
Yeah.
That one, it's funny because it's so sad, but I'm so in love right now. When I wrote it, I was so in love. I wrote it from the perspective of a friend who went through, like I knew what it felt like to go through what he went through.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's the first time I got to sort of like, I guess, story tell a little bit more when it comes to love, and like take the lens off of me and play with other narratives.
Yeah. And that's tough to find, and I find that with myself too, because I try to get creative. I try to do more than just the interviews. I try to write stuff too, and it's hard when you're like, well, now I got to my, I guess, happy ending of my story. Now what do I do? You know,
right?
And that's cool that you've done that. You were able to link to different perspectives, and that really reflects on the songs on here. Does that whole looking at love different perspectives, is that why there's such a wide variety of sounds? Like you start with such a new wave feel with Cuarto Oscuro, and then it just shifts. So how was that a decision on purpose? Obviously.
No, honestly, this album came together so like, this is so cliche, but so organically. Like I didn't like, as we were creating this album, the album's majority produced by Cash Only, who was my engineer for a long time. So he made a lot of the beats. And like when we were making these songs, we didn't necessarily have an end goal in mind. Like I didn't plan on making this album. Usually I go into it very like, okay, I'm gonna make this kind of album, and I want this many tracks. These are who I want to feature. The kind of beats I need. Da 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 da. Yeah. This one, like he would just, like, we would be in the studio and he'd be making something. Like I even contributed guitar to one of the songs on it. Just because like we were just feeling the vibe and everything. So yeah, the songs just kind of came together as we progressed, and there was a through line somehow. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it did, and it worked out. Like, as much as they're different, they also feel cohesive at the same time. And you mentioned your producer, but there's also a feature on the album, Thomas J on Blue Dreams vocals. Yeah. Is there anybody else that helped shape the album along the way?
Dope Kid Danny, he has a production credit on there. Who else? I mean, now it's really just us. Like even the Thomas J hook, I originally sang the hook on it. Just I was doing this falsetto thing and it didn't feel right. And Thomas J, he has like a country influence. Like he's really into country music. And when it, like I was like, okay, this is bringing this little like twang or something that is like filling it in perfectly. But like as far as people contributing, no, but influences, yes. Yeah. Freaking like Blink 182. Yeah. Like I was reaching back. Like I guess when I started to feel where these songs were headed, or like at least the beats that were informing where I was going lyrically, I started to get this feeling of like nostalgia and being like a high schooler and you just got your driver's license and you're like driving around in like early spring or summer, and like maybe you're taking someone on their first date and you're just driving. And so that's kind of where I was going with it. So I started thinking back to my own high school days and what I was listening to. So there's definitely like Tom DeLonge, Blink kind of stuff.
And you hear it in like, and it feels like That's a song, the strongest summer vibe. Like, and that's what I was gonna ask you. It's so close now because it's almost, we're in mid-May. Was it summer on purpose? Like, was this release date, despite the quarantine, supposed to be summer album?
That wasn't the original intention.
Yeah.
But once I sat down with all the tracks and began to sequence them, like, oh, this makes more sense. It really did start feeling like, yeah, this does feel like driving around on a summer night with your window down, or like summer, like early evening or something.
Yeah, like chilling, sipping. It was perfect. It was just the vibe where I was like, damn, it just sucks I can't go outside and for any other reason just to drive around and listen to this, I guess. That's the only.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so who are some other influences on it? Obviously the new wave stuff, like there's this goth night that used to go down in Riverside called Cemetery Gates, and you know, they played all the new wave type of stuff. That kind of, like, I was visualizing that for that first track.
And that's the thing is, there's so many different vibes on the album, like I mentioned. Was there a hard one, particularly one that you spent too much time on, where you're like, oh man?
Puerto Oscuro was definitely, like, because, like, I like new wave and I like the gothy stuff, but like, I know that's not the kind of music I make. It was me saying, oh, I want to try and make a gothy song. He gave me this beat. I'm gonna try it. But like, it took a little while because I just, like, I would just overthink, like, dang, am I doing too much? Am I sounding too much like Joy Division or something? Yeah. And I probably did, but
no, I mean, you could hear the influence, but it wasn't like, oh, this guy's just copying it. It was like, I could hear where he's going with it, but it was good to hear a new wave song in 2020. You know?
Yeah, and maybe the second track took me a while, just because it's so poppy that, like, I love pop music. I love pop music, and I guess I always wanted to make it, but I felt like a little insecure about being so new to, like, trying to make that kind of music. Yeah,
and it's so raw. I feel like pop music gives you this like, these are my feelings and I'm putting them right in front of your face. That is hard to access in other genres. So the power pop kind of Blink 182 kind of emo thing that you did was. In the fact that you were going for, I was reaching back to when I was younger, that's exactly what I thought too. I was like, this reminds me of when I was in high school, and I was like, damn, why doesn't this girl like me, or you know, stuff like that. It's very nostalgic, but it feels fresh at the same time. And any other favorite moments from the album you want to mention? I know we have to wrap up in a little bit.
Nah, I mean, I honestly, I love the whole thing front to back. And I think, like, the one other thing that I would say influence-wise, not necessarily on the writing, because I didn't listen to him until after it was done being recorded, but Lil Peep really, like, gave me the confidence to put it out, because when I recorded them, I knew who he was, but I didn't really listen to his music, and I kind of felt like this album, like, sometimes I was just like, this is kind of corny. Like, I like it, but it's kind of corny. But then, like, I don't know if you saw his documentary.
I haven't seen it yet, no, but
it's on Netflix now. It's really good. Yeah. But just watching that and then hearing him and just seeing what he did for that next phase of like emo rap, really. Yeah. Like that let me know, like, there's definitely space for this and my own version of it, especially being, like, older, because Lil Peep was young, you know, and me being, like, older and going through the emo phase, like, at the height of emo. You know what I'm saying?
It's such a different thing. It's hard to relate because for older people like us, it is hard to relate to that and that connection, that bridge. Even though we went through it, you're just like, but it's just so weird to see it coming up again. You know, it's a cycle, I guess.
Yeah, but I think another thing that I really tried to do with this is, like, utilize the rapping as accents rather than the main focus. Like using a bridge that's a short rap verse. I did that a couple of times, and I liked that. And
yeah, there was more singing on this one.
Yeah, being able to sing, and like I'm not a trained singer, obviously, but being able to try and flex those skills and learn through it. Like I'm more confident with singing now because of it. So I think that was probably like the highlight of making this record.
That's dope, man, and it paid off, and it's called IKOV, and it's out now on all. It's on all streaming, right? Except for Bandcamp comes out on June 5th because that's the day that you get 100% of the profits. So, one more thing, I know you are having people send you clips for it feels like. If you want to plug that real quick.
Yeah, man. So from today, the 15th of May, until next Friday, May 22nd. If you want to be a part of creating the And It Feels Like music video, I have the link to the song on Bandcamp, but you can just listen to it from Spotify or whatever service you use. Listening to And It Feels Like, I want to know what it feels like in this social distancing time. Like, what does it mean to quote unquote spend time in your mind? Like, what does that look like for you and your loved ones? Is that like walking your dog? Is that watering your plants inside? Is that doing home? Like, what does that look like? So if you want to send me like a 20-30 second clip, I want to put together a compilation video of what it means to spend time in this era and what it feels like. So you can DM me on Instagram at Faimkills, or you can email me, faimkills@gmail.com. Either way is fine.
Cool, and I'll post links to that in the description of the episode and in the video. Thank you, man. Thank you for calling in, and everybody check out the album IKOV. Once again, we'll post links. Faimkills, thank you, and hopefully we'll be able to see each other in person. And yeah, man, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Appreciate your time.
All right, we're gonna play some tracks off the album, and we'll be back with more on the Rodriguez Show. Let's get it.